Good afternoon and welcome to the Influential Author Blueprint. My name is Samantha Jensen. Super excited to have quite a few of you that have registered to be a part of this call. And, it is right on 12 o'clock here in Melbourne, for those of you that will be tuning in from Sydney. For those of you that are in Perth, good morning. It's probably about 10 o'clock in the morning in Perth. Now, if you're not on the live call and you are going to be watching this as a recording, it's all good. I'd love to still connect with you when you receive a copy of the recording. But let's quickly look at what it is that we are going to be talking about on this one a live call. I'm live here, taking you through the process of what it would be like if you wanted to actually write a book. In 2017, essentially, you've still got a few months left of 2017 and you can still make that a reality. So let's go through it. So today we are going to look at why write a book? There's a lot of hype lately around becoming a published author, but why would you write a book? Then turning your inspired idea into reality, because it is one thing to have an idea and then it is a little bit different when you start to plan and look at how that idea would become reality. And very much in the publishing area, it is really holding that book in your hand and saying, hey, I've written the book and it is here. So it is really taking you from an idea process to actually publishing the book and holding it in your hand. We're looking at how becoming an author is going to increase your credibility, and then self-publishing insights, because I think it is absolutely crucial that you understand the difference between traditional publishing, where you submit a manuscript to a few different companies and then you kind of hope and pray a little bit that they love your manuscript and they want to run with it. But that's a long time consuming process. So really looking at the self-publishing side of things and really looking at how you can take control of the whole thing and become a published author. So that being said, a little bit of insight about me. For those of you that have not connected with me on social media, whether that's on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, my name is Samantha Jensen and I run Platform for Success and Samantha Jensen Publishing. Two businesses that are, as I would say, a match made in heaven, because my social media consulting business has been running for nearly 5 years and the publishing business is fairly new. So that's, I suppose, a bit like my baby, given that it's a little bit less than 12 months since we launched the publishing arena side of things, because there was a bit of a gap in the marketplace. So in terms of my background, come from 9 years in corporate, worked in the corporate world for 9 years before I started Platform for Success. And Platform for Success, in terms of what it does in social media, is very much educational. So we are all about strategy-driven social media marketing for small to medium-sized businesses and also startup businesses. So really looking at how you can become someone of influence, how you can dominate, and how you can actually build awareness to what it is that you do using Facebook and LinkedIn. So those are my two favorite platforms. I am on quite a few, but in terms of really monetizing, leveraging, it is very much Facebook, LinkedIn, and then Instagram. In terms of publishing, because you are obviously listening to this because you are an aspiring author, I have published 6 books, my own book, which is No Qualifications, No Excuses, and featured in 5 other books, as well as created resources that help female entrepreneurs and aspiring women that want to, embrace leadership and look at becoming a change maker, really position themselves as an expert. So in terms of my other publications, my publishing journey began, I think it was about 3 years ago, when I was asked to write in a book called Healthy Minds, which you can see on the screens. Probably 3 years old that photo is now. And when I actually said yes to writing a chapter in Healthy Minds, I didn't fully, I suppose, look at how I can tie it in with everything that I do. It was very much more so saying yes because the opportunity was there, and I'd always wanted to write a book. Like, I really wanted to write a book. I wanted to share the journey that I'd been, the mindset side of things, because I'm very passionate around understanding human behavior, mindset, and also love books. Like, I absolutely love reading. So I said yes to the opportunity. what happened as a result of becoming a published author, and that was just one chapter, was a massive shift. My credibility had skyrocketed. People were starting to take note of what it is that I do, where I'm networking, where I'm showing up, and also just on social media. Even though I talk about Facebook and LinkedIn, becoming a published author really elevated my profile. So I thought, oh, wow, this is something that I really need to start funneling in to what it is that I do around my marketing. And essentially, that was the starting point. From Healthy Minds, I went on to writing Reboot Your Life, which was featured alongside Dr. John DeMartini. So for those of you that are in the personal development space or love personal development books or anything like that, you might have heard of Dr. John DeMartini. So I was featured alongside him in this book that was published in the UK, and then obviously across Amazon and various other publishing medias as well. From there, it was on to California, which was my first time in California. I attended the book launch, and I actually launched my business internationally last year. And essentially, that was as a result of collaborating through a book. So it all tied in to what it is that I do with actually becoming a published author. So success secrets for today's feminine entrepreneur was what took me to California and launched my business in California. As a result of that book, I actually created a journal called Audacious and Fabulous, because my chapter in that book is all about being audacious and fabulous. My motto is always about being audacious, fabulous, fearless, and unstoppable. I am one of those go, 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 let's go, let's actually take ideas to reality, because I think we can get caught up in just thinking and dreaming. And it is really, really crucial in order to succeed, whether that's in your career, whether that's in business, whether that's in your personal life. You actually have to take ideas, do the groundwork, and actually see the results once you actually take action. So that's my big thing. As a result of that, from there is when actually my publishing business was born, as a result of those books. And then there was a lot of media attention for me personally in Melbourne around, this woman that runs a social media consulting business is now starting a publishing business, but also very much around helping female leaders that want to become change makers, want to make a difference, really step up and harness the power of becoming a published author. So that's where essentially the publishing arm came into place, Samantha Jansen Publishing. And from there, we have published a few books in the last 6 months. She Leads was probably the highlight, which was about 8 Australian businesswomen leading to inspire and educate everyday Australian women build wealth, find their purpose, and live a life on their terms. So, as you can see, I've really tied in the publishing side and having a book to link from one to the other. And as I mentioned to you before, it was the publishing of that third book that really tied in nicely with taking my business globally. And also, as a result, since California, we've launched in New Zealand, and we've got many more things in the pipeline where we're taking the business to Canada later on this year. Well, towards Christmas, early next year. So there's a lot of things that have tied in as a result of becoming a published author. And that's why I actually have put together this online training to show you that it is not as scary as it seems. It's a lot of fun when done properly, but also there are some simple steps that you can start to take in order to really harness the power and become that person that you want to become in terms of becoming a published author and positioning yourself as the go-to expert. So that being said, here is a little sneak peek around She Leads. We had probably about 60 people attend She Leads in Melbourne. A lot of fun. It was just an amazing night overall, and we're about to launch She Leads in Sydney at the end of this month on the 31st of August. We are launching She Leads in Sydney, in Paddington, which is very, very exciting because we've got some of the authors in Sydney and Newcastle. So we're coming together in Sydney to launch that. But essentially, if you became a published author, you decided to embark on that journey, holding that book in your hand, having a book launch, but most importantly, what you're able to give the reader. That is where the magic happens. That's where the transformation happens. That's where the foundation begins into how you want to actually take that idea and make it into a reality, but also make a massive difference. So as I said to you before, we, myself and my team, we look after social media marketing and help people become published authors. That is what we do. So a marketing consultancy and self-publishing for aspiring authors. We currently support small businesses, solopreneurs and female entrepreneurs across California, Auckland, and right across Australia. It's a lot of fun, let me tell you. Maybe not the time difference, especially when you're having group coaching calls and you're trying to slot that in with back-to-back training sessions. That can be a little bit challenging sometimes, battling the US time zone. But apart from the time zone, it is a lot of fun, and it's a very rewarding a rewarding journey for me on a personal note, because it's very much aligned to my personal purpose. So as I said, a lot of fun, and I absolutely love it. So let's look at, tell me about you, what it is that you want to achieve when you decide to become a published author, because it is one thing for me to tell you that this is what I want to, this is what I do in terms of helping people become published authors. But I'm always curious to know what it is that you do. When you listen to this recording, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what it is that you do, why are you passionate about what it is that you do, and why have you considered becoming a published author? So on that note, let's look at why you would write a book. Now, as I said to you before, writing books have been happening for many, many years, but more so in the last probably 2 to 3 years, really understanding the power that lies in becoming a published author, but also really looking at what that impact has for your personal brand. So if you are in the coaching and consultancy space, massive, massive impact. If you're someone that wants to write an autobiography that you can pass on to loved ones and family members, then that's a whole other journey. If you are a product-based business and you're looking to see how you can leverage writing a book, because it's been on your bucket list, you've always wanted to write a book, and then you're thinking, how am I going to do this? This is where you're able to explore that. So in terms of a quick snippet of what it is that you can achieve when you write a book, it's very much around trust. Okay, massive factor. People look at you and go, wow, okay, published author. There's that instant trust and relatability. Number two, credibility in the marketplace. You stand in a congested marketplace, whether that's on social media, whether that's offline. It is congested. There is so much happening where everyone is saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And you really need to have something different that helps you stand out. Yeah. And that's where becoming a published author really boosts your credibility. Number three, authority. You are able to position what it is that you deliver with conviction and really become the go-to expert and dominate that marketplace. So there's authority. As I mentioned before, expert, you become someone where people go, wow, she does this, 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 or he does this, this, this. He's a go-to expert. He's also a published author. So there's that expert profile, which is number four. And lastly, number five is influence. This is where your book has a massive impact in the marketplace. Whether you are writing an autobiography, a non-fiction book, whatever that might be for you, it is about how you can influence, inspire, educate, share knowledge, and really make a difference. Because for you, writing a book might be very much around, it's been on my bucket list. It's something that I've always wanted to do. I'm thinking about it. I'm not so sure. There's a lot of concerns. How much is it going to cost? How long is the process going to be like? I'm kind of time poor. I don't want to get too stressed. There's all these things going on in your mind. But the truth is, when you write a book, there are 5 key elements that are really going to help you position yourself completely differently, whether that's online or offline. And those 5 are trust, credibility, authority, expert, and become someone of influence, which is massive in today's congested marketplace. Whether you're on social media or not, it's congested. We are constantly being pitched to and tried to be sold stuff. It's overwhelming. So how do you stand out from the crowd? How do you become the go-to person? How are you an authority, someone that has a lot of trust and credibility backing your name? that's where becoming an author really elevates your profile. So from there, we look at really understanding the concept behind why do you want to write a book, that inspired idea to reality. One of the things, and actually it's probably more than one, there's quite a few factors in when I have a conversation with someone that is looking to write a book. It sometimes it starts from a personal place where you kind of go, I've always wanted to write a book. Always want to write a book. I want to make a difference. I want to share my knowledge. I want to share my strategies. I want to share my story. But the question I often ask any aspiring author is, what's the purpose of the book? Why do you want to write it? Is it an autobiography or is it a non-fiction book? What is the core purpose of this book? Far too many people get hung up in the idea of, I want to write a book. But for what? What is the purpose? What is the end goal? And this is where I have then shared on the screen where you can look at, how is your story going to benefit the reader? Because as much as you might be wanting to write and you want to become a published author, you want it to make a bigger impact. I would like to think you would. I mean, it is so easy to get caught up in just that feel good moment of, I wrote a book, I became a published author. But it's about focusing on the bigger picture and looking at how you can make a difference. Yeah. So how will your story benefit the reader? What will your book offer the reader? Now, when I talk about offer, yes, I come from a sales and marketing background, and it is very much social media marketing driven. However, when I talk about what it is that you offer, whether you are writing an autobiography or a non-fiction book that could cover business, it could be, if it's not so much business based and you want to sort of be a book of inspiration or motivation, what does the book offer the reader? So if I was to pick up the book and read, what am I going to gain? Yes, there's going to be a story, but the concept, how are you going to tell the story as an author? What is the concept behind it? And also, where does the author's where will the author be when they finish reading a book? From a mindset, from an emotional perspective, where are they going to be? Are they going to be thinking about maybe changing their life around? Maybe they might be looking to seek one-on-one coaching. Maybe they might need a product that you offer. What does the book offer? And this is where that planning process begins. Okay, really looking at how you can actually monetize it, because today there are so many publishing packages out there. There are packages for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and often a lot of authors, when they come and talk to us, as I said, we are fairly new. We're a small boutique style business. We are about looking at how you can also monetize it. If you're thinking about the long-term goal, what happens once you're published? If you spend 10, 15, 20,000, how are you going to leverage? If you're a coach or a consultant, then probably you're going to be able to leverage quite quickly, depending on how you price with your coaching. But if you're not, and you're product-based, or it's an autobiography that you're trying to leverage and maybe get speaking gigs, $10,000, $15,000 is going to take a little while to really monetize it and leverage it. So really, we want to look at how you can actually execute this book from an idea into a reality, but also leverage it and generate a return on investment. I mean, it is one thing to write a book just because you want to share it with family and friends, but it's a whole other journey if you want to write a book and really share it on a national, global level, or even on a global level. It's massive. So that's my question. I mean, there's a few questions attached to that, but what's the purpose of the book? Is it an autobiography? Is it a non-fiction book? Maybe you're even thinking about a fiction book. To be honest, I've not helped anyone publish a fiction book. We are very much driven around helping non-fiction books come to light, taking the idea and turning into reality and using our skill set we're able to actually do that effortlessly. So we're very much in the autobiography or nonfiction phase. But I think it's about really doing the groundwork. Okay, it's up to you to look and ask yourself, what's the purpose of the book? What am I going to do to make a greater impact? How is this going to impact? And then what's the big picture long term? From there, we are looking at increasing credibility. So unleash the author within you and really look at how your story is going to make a massive, massive impact online and offline. Okay, so figure out what you have to say and why you want to write the book. You know, you might have a story that you have been thinking about, you want to share your journey. Maybe it is purely business driven and it is knowledge, a resource guide. It could be a combination of things, but really looking at how you're going to position this and how you're going to tell the story. So your influential status with authority, as I mentioned to you before, becoming a published author will skyrocket your online and offline profile because you become someone with influence, someone that becomes an authority in what it is that you do, because you're not just a coach or a consultant. Okay, you're not just someone doing what you do, but you're also an author. So you've elevated your profile to really position yourself in a strategic way in the marketplace, but also making a massive, massive impact. Okay, social media. You're able to really harness the power of social media, specifically Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, to really position yourself as the author. Massive, massive power in there. Looking at how you are going to use content. So the content that you might be writing in the book, you'll also be able to repurpose to build engagement on social media, offline, wherever you might be marketing, you're able to repurpose that and use that to really tie that in with what it is that you do. And then system with automation. So your marketing funnel, for those of you that are listening to this and might be thinking, okay, I do have a business or I don't. If you have a business, your book is most definitely going to be something that you are able to automate and systemize into your marketing funnel. Without a doubt, I have done that with every single publication that I've done and generated a return on income on every single one of the publications. No questions, no, oh my gosh, I don't know, I'm not sure. I have generated a return on investment on every single one of them. And the reason I've done that is very much around having a system with automation. Okay, once it's automated, it happens essentially automatically. You don't have to actually work that hard. You do the groundwork, set it up, and away we go. So what I would love for you to think about here is, how are you going to be positioned in terms of your credibility in the marketplace, where people know you, like, and trust you? Because if they know you, like, and trust you, they will buy from you. I mean, I know from personal experience, I would never buy something from someone that I kind of don't like and trust, really. That's just awkward and weird. So here's where you get to really connect, build a relationship where people get to know, like, and trust. Okay, so really tying in the power of becoming a published author into what it is that you do and building that. Absolutely crucial. Okay, from there, what is self-publishing? Now, as I mentioned to you before, there are different aspects to publishing. You can use a traditional publishing agency where you might submit your manuscript to one or two different agencies, whether that's in Australia or internationally, and you kind of hope and pray and wait for one of those publishing companies to go, wow, love the manuscript, I think we're going to run with it. Now, even if they love it and they're going to run with it, you're probably looking at 12 to 18 months before things even start to move, because it's got to go through various different channels, various different roles of authority where they've got to check and tie it in and do all of this. This is where self-publishing is a lot faster, but also really builds the momentum and gives you a lot more control. So if you're someone that is looking to write your book in 2017 and really want to leverage your positioning, self-publishing is probably the way to go. So publish your book almost instantly. And when I say instantly, you can have your book from when you submit the manuscript to when you hold a physical copy in less than 3 months. Our publishing team is all based in Melbourne. We print in Melbourne. The editing, the typesetting, the layout, all is done in Melbourne. So even if you are interstate, you essentially have your books from when it goes into print in less than 5 days, because we've got a pretty amazing team here in Melbourne. They work tirelessly. I mean, they really do, and they're very passionate about books. We all love books. So it is less than 3 months from, when you submit your manuscript to publishing in 3 months. For those of you that are going, well, 3 months isn't going to cut it, I kind of want it done a little bit faster. We actually offer a 3-day program called the Influential Author 3-day program, which is where you actually write your books in 3 days. Now, there is no writing old school where you've got to type away. We use a systematic approach to actually get all the content from your mind onto a computer using a software where you actually talk your chapters. And your book could consist of anywhere between 7, 10, or 12 chapters. And essentially in 3 days, we get all that is in your mind out, done and dusted, and then it goes into typeset and editing, 2 rounds of editing, and then it is ready to hit the printers. Look, that process is really fast, really efficient, works really well. And with that process, you're looking at roughly, give or take, 6 to 7 weeks. The reason being is because the editing is what takes time. The editing can take about a week, 2 weeks, given that we go back and forward. So if you want super fast, 6 to 7 weeks. If you want a little bit longer and you have your own manuscript, 3 months. Self-publishing is one of the fastest ways for you to be in control, but you to also have all the rights and be able to call all the shots, as I say. Every decision is yours. We as a publishing company, we actually give you suggestions, we give you ideas. Both our programs, whether you do the 3-day program or you actually submit a manuscript, we mentor you. So it's either myself or my team member. We look at mentoring you and supporting you with accountability just to make sure you're kicking those goals and you're achieving that outcome that you want to achieve. It's cost effective. There are no ongoing hidden costs or fees. It's literally an upfront fee where we tell you upfront, this is how much you're going to be paying. You can take a payment plan for either 3 months or 6 months, and away you go. That's it. There is no hidden fees. There's no, 6 months later, well, you owe us this. None of that, because this is where you are in control. So self-publishing is massive, massive, massive turning point to the alternative or submit a manuscript, hope, pray, and wait. You also have the freedom to leverage and monetize. And this is where the coaching, as I said to you before, whether you do with the 3-day program or you actually submit a manuscript, we actually look at how you're going to leverage and monetize. So if you're a business owner, generally you will deal with myself, because I'll walk you through the process of how you can leverage and monetize, because I've been there, done that. 6 books later, return on investment on every single book. So I want to give you those simple steps on how you can unpack your business, how you can set up your marketing funnel, how you're going to leverage the book and really get things going. Absolutely crucial, okay? Also, remember that you hold all the rights, the planning, the editing, the marketing. You are in full control. You are the decision maker. There is no, you've got to do this and you've got to do that and you've got to pay this. None of that. No, because we believe you are the author of the story. It's your story. It's what you want to share. You should be able to make the decisions. We're going to guide you. We're going to give you suggestions. We're going to hold you accountable. But you hold all the rights. It's all yours, all your work. And you get to call those shots, which is really, really crucial when you're considering sharing your knowledge, sharing something that's personal. It's absolutely crucial. And this is where self-publishing is different as opposed to traditional publishing, because when you submit your manuscript to a publishing company, they actually need you to run in a certain way. So you kind of lose a little bit of how you can control things, and you lose that decision-making process, unfortunately. And that is where lately a lot of Australians are turning to self-publishing and finding small boutique-style consulting and publishing businesses like ourselves to actually take them on the journey, because one, it's cost-effective. You're not going to spend $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to become a published author. It's very cost-effective, but you're also supported for 3 to 6 months, depending on how long it takes for you to actually publish the book. to be honest, with all the books that we've published, we have never taken more than 3 months and 2 weeks. One of the authors went a little bit over 3 months purely because they were traveling. And they said, well, when we're traveling, we don't actually want to look at any of the edits or the typeset or layout. So we're going to take a 2.5 week break. And that threw the timeline a little bit off. But they're probably the longest. So it is a really fast process, and it's about how quickly do you want to really boost your credibility, become someone of influence, become the go-to expert, someone that is in a leadership role that is actually making a bigger difference. The question is for you to really think about what it is that you want. How are you going to consider becoming a published author? When you consider becoming a published author, how are you going to leverage that? That's the question, yeah? And that's why I'm here to support you. Any questions that you might be having, reach out and ask me. I'm more than happy to support you on that, okay? From there, how will you leverage and monetize your author status? And this is something that I have done on a personal level, okay? Done it every single time, made me probably, I would say, a return on investment in probably less than, with some 3 months, with some 6 months. It really depends, because it's about knowing your numbers in your business. For those of you that are in business and looking to really tie this into your marketing funnel, it's about knowing your numbers and looking at how much is your ideal client worth. What sort of services do you offer? What sort of products do you offer? How's it all going to tie in? So it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, but it really depends on your business model, okay? And again, this is something that we talk about when someone says to us, Samantha, I want to write a book with you guys, want to have a conversation. This is what I currently do. Before we even unpack the book, we look at how you are going to actually leverage and monetize your author status. Now, I've given you some suggestions there, and this is where I suppose the biggest monetization happens. There are some ones that are not on this screen, but I want you to think about these. I want you to think about how this is going to tie in, if you're a business owner, to what it is that you do. So packaging up the book into value bundles. So it's not just the book, it's so much more. Okay, this is where that whole mindset needs a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a tweak, where you go, it's not just that, oh, I've written a book, here's the book, read it. It's about how you can package it up into value bundles that offer the reader, offer the purchaser a lot of value. So much more than your $20 or $25 book, okay? How you can take the book and tie it into workshops, programs, and retreats. Now, this is something that a lot of my coaching consultant clients do. Anyone that is in a service space, like financial planners, accountants, lawyers, health and well-being practitioners, business coaches, marketing consultants, sales consultants, this is what they do. Really able to leverage and really offer another level to what it is that you do, really tying it in tight, but leveraging, niching right down, and really monetizing the author profile. So workshops, programs, and retreats. For those of you that might be product-based, but also service-based, and you love speaking, and you have got a great network, you want to leverage that, not so much into creating products, further products or any programs or consulting. You want to share your story on a national stage, on an international stage. You want to be interviewed. You want to build your online profile as a speaker. Well, I have secured national and international speaking gigs. Some paid, some not paid. I like to be transparent and upfront. Some were not paid. However, I was able to pitch an offer at the end of the speaking gig, which converted. So as much as I wasn't paid on some of the international and national speaking gigs that I've acquired, I have actually sold from stage. So as a result of that, I generated return on investment pretty quickly. And this is where I want to show people that you really can harness the power of becoming a published author if you think about it and plan it systematically. It's not about, I'm just going to write a book, I've got all this knowledge, I want to write a book. It's so much more than that. It needs to be planned and strategically mapped with some systems in place so you can run on autopilot as well. So paid speaking gigs nationally, internationally, sometimes, as I said, it will be unpaid work, but that's where, if you're a business owner, you kind of need to look at how you can monetize it strategically. Okay, and your author status for marketing purposes, I'm very much social media marketing, and I love it. Live it and breathe it, as I would say. And if you've seen anything on social media, it has been very much a self-confessed lover of social media, because I absolutely love it. But it's really looking at how you can leverage your author status for marketing purposes. And again, that is something that we talk about when you work with us. As I said, we've got two parts to this publishing. You can do a 3-day program, get your book sorted and done in 3 days. We take care of all the editing, typeset, design, publishing, printing, and it shows up to your front door in 12 weeks. Pretty cool. I love seeing the faces of the authors when that happens. It's just like, oh my gosh, I got my book, which is pretty cool. And from there, it's really looking at how you're going to tie that in with your offerings. So if you're a service-based business, how are you going to tie that in? If you're a product-based business, how are we going to tie it in? And really packing it with offers and bundles and value, so the end consumer, the reader, the consumer, is going to get so much more than a book or your product. So it's so much more. It's so much more valued. It's so much more resourceful. And that's what really changes how you're positioned in the marketplace. Okay. So I hope you are going, wow, okay, I can see how I can leverage this a little bit further. Okay. Because if you are, I want to invite you, why wouldn't you consider unpacking your book? So if you've thought about, I've got a story, I want to share it, I'm not so sure, how will I unpack it? I mean, Samantha's talking about taking the idea into reality, but I'm not sure. I've got some ideas around my book. If you are listening to this and you're in Sydney or Perth, I am coming to Sydney for 2 days. As I said to you before at the start of this, for the launch of She Leads, and I'm running a small, intimate, hands-on workshop. It's a 3-hour workshop in Sydney on the 31st of August. And if you're listening in Perth, it's on the 8th of September, okay? Now, how this is going to work and what you're going to get, it is from 10 to 1 p.m. in both locations, Sydney on the 31st of August and Perth 8th of September. This is where you really are able to look at how you can share your story, but in a systematic approach where we unpack your book. So what's included? You get a 3-hour book unpack session. So this is where we plan and map your book live in the room. So when I say plan and map, you will tell me what you want to write about, and we are going to use a systematic approach to actually break down how you would produce content, but also what your chapters would look like. So if you said, I want to write a book with 10 or 12 chapters, we actually write your chapter names and the core part of what that chapter would consist. It's very, very exciting. When we did this in New Zealand, people were like, wow, this is awesome. And I'm back again in New Zealand later this year. And they're really excited because we are going to be doing the 3-day workshop in New Zealand where they actually get to write their books in 3 days. And then 12 weeks later, a shipment will go across from Australia to New Zealand with their published books. It's very, very exciting for them. But for you, this is your opportunity to spend 3 hours with me. Generally, the group is about 5 to 6 people where we really look at unpacking this into a systematic approach. So whether you decide to self-publish straight away or if you decide to do that in a few months, you've actually got the skeleton, okay, the framework of how your book would come together. So it's very practical, very hands-on, pen and paper. You can bring your laptop, but it's very much pen and paper because we start getting you to actually put pen to paper, because when you put pen to paper, there's intention, there's a lot of mindset. It really triggers a whole other things and you're able to really articulate your message, okay? So 3-hour book unpack session. You get a copy of my book, No Qualifications, No Excuses. So I will personally sign that and give that to you. We will look at how we will package your expertise to leverage the book. So it's not just unpacking the book. As I mentioned to you before, you've got to look at how you can leverage and monetize it, okay? So this is where through the 3 hours, we spend about an hour and a bit really unpacking your book, and then we spend another about an hour really looking at how you're going to leverage and how that ties in with what it is that you currently do. And then we spend about 40 minutes, give or take, looking at some other technicalities in terms of your systems and all the other exciting fun parts about what it would be like once you become a published author. So as I said to you, 31st of August from 10 to 1 in Sydney, Perth 8th of September. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have an awesome time. It's always fun. And there's so many ahas that come out of this session. In terms of cost, it's $49 to attend. So $49 gives you the 3-hour session, a personally signed copy of No Qualifications, No Excuses. We start mapping and planning, doing all the framework for your book. Plus, you will receive a surprise bonus. So if you would love to join us live, be a part of this, unpack your book live in the room, join us. It's $49. The link is there, but I will also send you the link and a little bit more information later on. So thank you so much. I hope you gained a lot of insight, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.